Picture this. You're sitting at your kitchen table, bills piled up, job ads circulating, and you suddenly hear that the UK's unemployment rate has ticked up to 4.8% in the 3 months to August 2025, the highest in years. That number might not feel earth-shattering at first, but if it's rising steadily, it signals something deeper. The labor market is cooling. And when the job market begins to cool, it doesn't just affect whether you find work or a raise. It ripples out into the broader economy, into public finances, into how your taxes move, and how government spending is prioritized. What does rising unemployment mean for the UK's fiscal health? And more importantly, what does it mean for you? Let's dig into that story. The UK labor market has been extraordinarily tight in recent years. Low unemployment, wage growth above inflation, employers scrambling to fill roles. But now, it's showing signs of softening. In the latest data from the Office for National Statistics, employment rate in the UK dropped to 75.1% for age 16 to 64 in June to August 2025, and the unemployment rate rose to 4.8%, an increase of 0.7 percentage points from a year earlier. At the same time, wages, excluding bonuses, grew at 4.7%, the slowest since 2022. Why does this matter? Because a cooling labor market means fewer people working, fewer people earning, and less tax revenue flowing, and just when the government is dealing with high borrowing, high debt, and mounting long-term pressures. The relationship between jobs and the public finances is tighter than most people realize. Let's break it down into 3 parts: causes, effects, and key players, with a focus on the UK national finance angle. So why is the labor market cooling? A few things. First, business confidence has taken a hit. From higher interest rates, inflation, rising costs, including wages, and continued uncertainty post-pandemic and because of global shocks. The ICAEW economics director noted the UK employment outlook is uncertain due to sinking business confidence and rising cost pressures. Second, labor supply is weaker. Fewer vacancies and more firms pausing hires. The ONS notes that the number of job vacancies fell to 717,000 in July to September 2025, which is 39 straight periods of decline. Third, wages are slowing, not collapsing, but slowing, which suggests employers are less bullish about needing to raise pay to attract staff, or they are constrained. That means the tight labor market dynamics that kept things humming are fading. All that amounts to a modestly loosened labor market, according to Bank of England policymaker Catherine Mann, who said the market is weaker, not falling off the cliff, but clearly changing effects on fiscal health. Here's where jobs meet public finance. When unemployment rises and job creation slows, 3 key fiscal implications show up. 1. Tax revenue falls or slows. Fewer people working means fewer income tax and national insurance contributions paid. Slower wage growth also means less extra tax from rising incomes. 2. Spending pressures rise. Unemployment means more benefit payments, more state pension claims, if people retire early or can't find jobs, and potentially more cyclical support from government. The government also still carries high debt and interest payments, which eat into spending. 3. Debt dynamics worsen. In the UK's case, the Office for Budget Responsibility projects public sector net debt around 95.9% of GDP this year, edging toward 96.1% in 2029 to 2030. Meanwhile, borrowing is forecast to fall from around £137.3 billion, representing 4.8% of GDP this year, to £74 billion, which is 2.1% of GDP, in 2029 to 2030. But that assumes growth, productivity improvement, favorable conditions. So if the labor market weakens further, the assumptions driving those forecasts become shaky. Slower growth, lower tax take higher welfare spending. The budget could deteriorate. From the global side, the IMF has flagged that the UK's gross debt may stabilize around 105% of GDP in coming years under their baseline, still very high. For comparison, borrowers expect risk premiums, interest rates, to rise if growth disappoints. The cost of servicing debt could jump, making debt sustainability harder. So, a cooler labor market doesn't just mean bad news for job seekers. It means the government's financial headroom shrinks. The Treasury, via the Chancellor, sets tax policy, direct spending policy, and the broad fiscal strategy. As the UK faces a weak labor market, the Chancellor must either raise taxes, cut spending, or accept higher borrowing. The Bank of England influences interest rates, monetary policy, and indirectly the labor market by influencing economic activity. If the labor market loosens, the Bank of England might feel less pressure about inflation and more room to ease. But that also means growth might be weaker. The OBR and IMF are independent, or semi-independent forecasters and fiscal watchdogs. They supply the numbers, the risk assessments, and the warnings. Their projections matter because markets, investors, and politicians use them to assess credibility. Together, they form the framework in which labor market changes become fiscal policy issues. To ground this in actual numbers, in June to August 2025, there were around 1.74 million unemployed people in the UK, age 16 plus, an increase of about 297,000 from the year before. The unemployment rate at that time was 4.8%, up from 4.1% a year earlier. Meanwhile, regular, non-bonus pay growth was 4.7% annually, lowest since May 2022. On the fiscal side, the UK's PSND was around 96.4% of GDP in August 2025. What this all suggests is a confluence. Labor slack rising plus wages slowing, plus debt high, plus borrowing still large, gives us a narrower margin for error for the UK's public finances. So what can happen next and what does it mean for you? If unemployment and labor market slack rise further, we might see one or more of the following. The Chancellor may delay tax cuts or introduce new taxes to preserve revenue. If job creation stalls, raising revenue becomes harder, so avoiding major tax reduction may become the default. Government may need to tighten spending in politically sensitive areas such as health, education, raising pensions, or shift spending toward productivity-enhancing investment, skills, infrastructure, rather than direct service spending. For you personally, if the job market weakens, wage growth may slow, promotions may be delayed, and hiring may be more selective, especially for younger workers or those switching sectors. If taxes go up or benefits consolidate, households may feel pressure. On the flip side, if the government responds well via investment in training, apprenticeships, etc., then there are opportunities to benefit from reskilling moves. In short, a cooler labor market means less wiggle room for both the government and for individuals. Here's the takeaway. The UK's rising unemployment isn't just a headline about someone out of work. It's a flashing light about the health of the national economy and the government's finances. When fewer people work, or wages grow more slowly, the government collects less tax, spends more on supports, and still owes vast amounts of debt. The results ripple out to affect job prospects, pay growth, tax policy, and public services for people like you. So the next time you hear unemployment up or jobs market softening, ask, what does this mean for public finances and for my future income and opportunities? To better understand it, watch this video which explains why UK consumer spending has flatlined and what it means for UK finances and your future.